Everyone, so today's video is going to be all about guinea pig water, whether to provide it in a bottle or a bowl, whether to use tap water, bottled water, filtered water. We're going to go into the debates with all of those. So guinea pigs must have access to fresh water at all times, whether this is provided in a bottle or a bowl. So there is a bottle or bowl debate, and there are obviously pros and cons to each. So bottles tend to be the most commonly used, and they help to keep the water a bit cleaner. I find that they're easier to monitor water intake, and most guinea pigs are already used to them, whether you bring them home from a pet shop, a breeder or a rescue. The only thing with bottles is that the bearings inside the spout can get stuck, which obviously prevents the water from coming out. They can be really drippy. Some bottles are awful for this, and you may need to put a drip tray underneath to stop all the bedding getting soggy. Some are better than others. The cheap ones tend to be a bit leaky and need replacing more frequently. There are lots of different bottles on the market, and generally you just need to play around and see which ones work for you and your guinea pig. So some have bigger spouts than others, and yeah, some you'll just find are better than others. So the ones that I personally use and have found the best are the glass ones from either Living World or KT. They're the ones that I use, and I found that they're the best for not dripping. The only thing is, obviously with glass, if you drop it, you can smash it. The only other thing with bottles is that algae can build up quite quickly, especially if it's kept in direct sunlight. So if you're going to use a bottle, change the water daily and regularly clean the bottles thoroughly with a bottle brush. Just make sure that the bearing doesn't get stuck up inside the spout, and you can clean out the spout as well with either a small bottle brush or a cotton bud. So lots of guinea pigs will also drink with food still in their mouths, which leaves a scum around the spout, and they tend to backwash food into the water, which is really gross. So aren't you glad you don't share a water bottle with a guinea pig? So you may also need to clean the outside of the spout as well. So there are several different methods to cleaning bottles. Some of the favourites on guinea pig forums seem to include sterilising kits, washing up liquid, dishwasher, baby bottle disinfectant, or uncooked rice in with some water and then shake it around so the rice will sort of abrase the inside of the bottle. I personally just use a little bit of washing up liquid in with a bottle brush and give it a good scrub inside, and then just make sure I rinse it out really thoroughly. Obviously you don't want any residue left inside the bottle, because that could change the flavour of the water, which can put the guinea pigs off drinking. So some other considerations with using bottles: if you have some little guinea pigs and some big guinea pigs, make sure they can all access the bottle at a comfortable height so that they don't have to overstretch to reach it or duck under sort of uncomfortably. And if you have multiple guinea pigs, then have multiple bottles. So some guinea pigs like to hog the bottles, and they usually develop a favourite. And also, especially with boars, because they do tend to be a little more dominant and territorial than sows, then I would have one on each side of the cage, so that if one is hogging one end of the cage, the other one can still get water. So I also like to keep a spare to hand just in case one breaks, especially if you're relying on just one water bottle, then this is super important. But because I use the glass ones, they do smash if they're dropped, so I like to keep a spare to hand. So you can also use bottle sleeves, which do help to slow down the build-up of algae, especially if your setup is outside or if you're in a sunny room, and it will prevent the water from warming up too much in the summer and cooling down too much in the winter. So the other option is using a bowl, which is seen as a more natural way for them to drink, and it is easier to clean, but they will need cleaning more regularly. Guinea pigs are not the cleanest animals. They do tend to get hay and bedding. If you use bedding, it tends to get everywhere. It can also become contaminated with urine and faeces, and they can easily tip them over, causing soggy bedding and thirsty guinea pigs. So I've tried bowls previously, and they don't seem to work very well for me. I find that they're always tipped over. Guinea pigs tend to put their feet on the rim of a bowl to eat or drink, and they do get tipped over very easily. So for me personally, I find it quite difficult. But if you're going to use a bowl, just make sure to change the water and clean the bowl daily and as needed, and check in frequently to make sure it's not been tipped over. If you use a heavy ceramic bowl or one that attaches to the side of the cage, that will also help to prevent them tipping over. So I've personally used both at different times, and I think that they each have their place. So I tend to use bowls for poorly guinea pigs, but generally I prefer to use bottles. I feel like I can more easily keep an eye on how much they're drinking, and my piggies, like I say, have always found a way to tip over their bowls, or they end up sitting in them. They're just very messy. They tend to get hay, bedding everywhere. I just find bottles easier to manage. So honestly, I think it's down to you and your guinea pigs. Some guinea pigs won't drink out of a bowl and vice versa. Whether you use a bottle or a bowl, the important thing is that you have a fresh supply of clean water, and it's just whatever works for you and your pigs. So like I say, water should be changed daily to prevent bacteria build-up. Fresh water is also going to taste nicer, which will encourage them to drink more. So this keeps them hydrated, but it also flushes out their bladders, which helps in the prevention of calcium building up, and it just helps to keep a healthy functioning urinary system. So too much calcium in their diet can cause sludge build-up or bladder stones. So bladder stones, guinea pigs can't normally pass on their own, so they normally need surgery to remove them. So this is obviously an expensive and painful process. So even the x-ray can easily set you back £100. So it can quickly add up. I've had a couple of my guinea pigs x-rayed in the past, and it is expensive, and it's worth trying to avoid it if you possibly can. So it's important to look at the calcium content in their water. We look at it with their food, so we shouldn't forget to check their water. So tap water. So tap water is generally what people use for their guinea pigs, but the water quality will vary depending on where you live. One of the main factors is if you have hard water or soft water. So if you live in a hard water area, this means that the water contains more minerals, including calcium. So calcium, like I said, is something that should be limited within their diet. So filtering the water would be a good idea. It will remove some of this calcium, and it will also make the water taste better, which will encourage them to drink more. So you can find out if you live in a hard water area in the UK by using this map. I'll also leave a link in the description bar below, but similar maps can be found for other countries just by using Google. So here's one that I found for the USA. So it's especially important to filter your water if you live in a hard water area, but it's a good idea to filter it in any area because it tends to make the water taste better. So bottled water. So some people choose to use bottled water for their guinea pigs, but it's not always better. Different brands of water have different levels of minerals, so you would need to check the levels within that brand of water, especially the calcium. So bottled waters are said to be high in calcium. There are calculators available online to help you to check. So here's a link to one that I found online, and I'll leave that in the description bar as well. So you can just type in the brand and it will tell you the level of minerals within it. So the other thing I looked into was distilled water. So I don't know a lot about distilled water, but there are a lot of sites advising avoiding it. Apparently because all the minerals have been taken out, it can leach nutrients and minerals from your body. So basically, from what I understand, drinking water should contain minimum levels of certain essential minerals, and removing all of these can be detrimental. There aren't a lot of resources to do with distilled water and guinea pigs, but there is a lot of controversy with distilled water relating to human consumption. So let me know if you know anything about this, or you find any good sites for me to look into this further. Leave a comment below and I will check it out. It's not something that I know a lot about, so I wouldn't recommend using it. So I really strongly recommend against using vitamin C drops, any kind of tablets, putting anything in their water. So it can put them off drinking as much, and these vitamin C drops or tablets are only effective for a short amount of time before they disperse, meaning that they're essentially ineffective. They also promote the growth of algae, and guinea pigs should get all the vitamin C they require from other areas of their diet, like their vegetables, and their pellets should have stabilised vitamin C in. So, but if for whatever reason you do need to provide extra vitamin C, there are so many more effective methods than putting it in their water. And along a similar line, never add any medication to the water. You can't control the intake and you can't make sure that that guinea pig is getting the intended dosage. And most medicine, especially things like antibiotics, they taste horrible, and apparently guinea pigs have double the number of taste buds as us. So it's really going to put them off drinking, which will then lead to dehydration, and it won't be flushing out their bladders so they can get this calcium build-up. It's just not worth it. So how much a guinea pig should drink really depends a lot on the guinea pig. Some just drink a lot more than others. So it's important to learn what's normal for them. It can also vary a lot depending on the temperature. A bit like us, we're going to drink more if we're hot in the summer. And if you do have a guinea pig with bladder stones or bladder issues, then please consider switching to filtered water, even if you don't live in a hard water area. It can make such a difference. It's not just calcium, but other minerals can contribute to bladder stone issues. So please consider filtering. Filters are quite cheap, something like a Brita filter. If you have any comments or suggestions, then make sure to leave them down below. If you find this video interesting, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!